Grazia plana. The keyboard begins its rhythmic descent into the architecture of light, where Johann Sebastian's mathematical grace meets the velvet longing of a heart in prayer. The piano breathes in C major, a cycle of rising ripples that mirror the steady pulse of a soul at peace, an ancient foundation of stone and logic, upon which Gounod weaves his crown of woven gold. Dominus tecum. The voice of the soloist rises like a single candle flame in a cathedral of silence, a silver thread of sound that stitches the earth to the hem of the heavens. Benedicta tu in mulieribus. The string quartet enters not as an accompaniment, but as of sighs, the cello providing the dark, rich resonance of the soil from which the lily grows, while the violins shiver with the vibrato of 1,000 unsaid petitions. There is a sacred geometry in the way the bow meets the string, a friction that transforms resin and horsehair into a celestial language that transcends the limits of the tongue. Blessed art thou amongst women, and blessed is the fruit of thy womb, Jesus. The melody ascends, climbing the ladder of the arpeggio, with a romantic intensity that knows no fear, only the profound surrender of the fiat. It is a dialogue between the structured mind of the Baroque and the weeping heart of the Romantic, a marriage of crystalline order and the fluid warmth of human breath. The quartet swells, 4 voices merging into one singular vibration that fills the corners of the sanctuary, echoing against the stained glass, where the blue of your mantle catches the dying light of the afternoon. Et benedictus fructus ventris tui, Isus. Every note is a beat on a rosary of sound, every shift in harmony, a step closer to the mystery of the incarnation. The piano remains constant, the heartbeat of the divine, while the strings wrap their melodic arms around the soloist in a gesture of maternal protection. Holy Mary, Mother of God, pray for us sinners now and at the hour of our death. Sancta Maria, Mater Dei, ora pro nobis peccatoribus. The Latin tongue carries the weight of centuries, a heavy and holy incense that lingers in the air long after the vow has faded. The English follows like a shadow, intimate and clear, a child whispering to a mother in the dark. Nunc et in hora mortis nostrae. The music does not fear the end, for the quartet holds the tension of the final cadence with the tenderness that speaks of homecoming. The soloist's voice reaches its zenith, a high, pure, suspended moment where time ceases to move, where the Bacchian pulse and the Gounod curve become one single point of light. It is the sound of the Magnificat, whispered in the garden, the sound of the Pietà silence, the sound of the morning star rising over the hills of Nazareth. Amen. The piano offers the final resolution. The strings fade into a ghostly pianissimo that remains in the marrow of the listener. The soloist's breath is the last thing to depart, leaving a vacuum of holiness where the music once stood. This is the hymn of the transition, between the logic of the creator and the passion of the created. Through the piano's hammers and the quartet's resonance, through the Latin of the ancients and the English of the now, the Marian spirit is invoked not as a distant icon, but as a living presence felt in the vibration of the wood and the tension of the wire. Ave, Ave. The echoes repeat in the mind's ear, a cycle of grace that never truly concludes, but merely waits for the next time the bow touches the string to begin its climb back to the Father. The dust of ours is not common clay, but a pulverized history of 100,000 footsteps, each treading a path of limestone and sorrow toward a wooden box that held the gravity of a world. He sat there while the sun rose in a pale sliver over the French fields and remained until the stars grew weary of watching the earth, a sentinel of the violet stone whose only weapon was a whisper. It was not the grandeur of cathedrals that summoned the desperate, nor the ringing of silver bells, but the quiet rasp of a man who ate the bread of the poor and drank the tears of the penitent as if they were wine. In that narrow enclosure of oak and shadow, the air grew thick with the exhale of secrets, the heavy musk of ancient guilts and the sharp metallic tang of cold remorse that clung to the coats of farmers and the lace of queens alike. He became the filter for a nation's darkness, a human vessel through which the brackish water of sin entered, and the crystalline stream of absolution flowed back into the parched soil of the human spirit. Every hour was a bead on a rosary of exhaustion, a mechanical yet mystical endurance, where the body of Jean-Marie withered while his soul expanded to house the orphans of grace. Imagine the weight of 20,000 days, where the ear is a doorway to the underworld, and the heart is a to the light. He did not hear mere words. He heard the fracturing of glass within the chest, the silent scream of the prodigal, and the dull thud of the soul falling against the floor of its own pride. The number is a mountain, 100,000, a demographic of the broken, a census of the redeemed, each one a unique geography of pain, mapped by the trembling hand of a priest who saw the devil in the corner and God in the eyes of the weeping. He was a gladiator of the internal forum, fighting battles in the silence between a stuttered admission and the raising of 3 fingers and a cross of forgiveness, a man who traded his own sleep for the waking peace of others. The wood of the confessional grew smooth under the friction of so many foreheads pressed against the grating, a physical testament to the friction of the divine meeting the mundane. He knew the smell of the fields, the scent of the forge, and the perfume of the city, all blending into one singular aroma of humanity seeking its origin. There was no room for the vanity of the scholar in the school of the heart. He spoke with the brevity of a man who knows that time is a leaking vessel and eternity is the only shore. When the tempter roared in the night, setting his bed aflame with the fires of malice, the curate merely sighed, for he knew that the salvation of a single drunkard or a lonely widow was worth more than the safety of his own skin. He was a martyr of the year, a saint of the listening silence, proving that the greatest revolution is not found in the thunder of cannons, but in the quiet shattering of a hardened heart under the pressure of unconditional mercy. The story is not written in ink, but in the changed trajectories of lives that arrived in ours as winter and left as spring. Carrying the scent of the lilies, he planted with his prayers. 100,000 times the heavens were forced to open, not because of a king's decree, but because a humble man in a tattered cassock dared to believe that no soul was too stained for the laundries of paradise. He saw the invisible scars left by the world's cruelty and applied the balm of a penance that felt like a gift. As the decades wore into his bones and the skin of his face became a map of divine compassion, the world realized that the miracle was not that he lived on a few potatoes and no rest, but that he could carry the collective shadow of a century without losing his sight of the sun. Even now, the echo of his ego te absolvo vibrates in the stones of that small village, a life-changing frequency that reminds the weary that the door is never locked, the priest is still waiting, and the 100,000 and first soul is always the one that matters most. The amber light of 7 o'clock descends through the clerestory glass, casting long and leaning shadows across the well-worn oak of the pews, where the faithful gather in the hushed gravity of the Lord's day's end. There is a specific scent to this hour, a mixture of extinguished beeswax, the faint metallic tang of the thuribal's lingering ghost, and the damp wool of coats worn by those who seek a final sanctuary before the secular week begins its relentless march. The choir stands in the loft, their breath a collective petition, preparing to weave the melodies of Magargil and the ancient echoes of the servant's heart into a tapestry that's the silence of the sanctuary with the noise of the world outside. Here, the rosary is not merely a string of beads, but a rhythmic pulse, a tactile map of sorrows and glories that we trace with calloused thumbs, seeking the mother's hand in the gathering twilight of the nave. Will you permit the bending of the knee to be more than a ritual motion, a true descent into the dust where the feet of the weary rest heavy with the grime of the road? In this late hour, the Sunday 7 p.m. choir sings not for the applause of the crowd, but for the solace of the broken, their voices lifting the heavy weight of the servant's song, as if it were a shared mantle of indigo silk. We are pilgrims of the evening, travelers who find our home in the cadence of a brother's voice, and the steady resonance of a sister's prayer. Understanding that to lead is to follow, and to possess is to surrender everything at the foot of the cross. The music swells, rising like incense toward the vaulted ceiling, carrying the names of the forgotten and the burdens of the heavy laden into the heart of the immaculate who stood beneath the wood of sacrifice with a silent, piercing grace. Between the decades of the rosary, the silence breathes, a profound and hollow space, where the spirit of Mary's fiat takes root in the marrow of our bones, asking if we too can say yes to the unknown and the arduous. The hymn is over the chasm of our own selfishness, a structural grace that demands we look into the eyes of the stranger and see the reflection of the Christ who washed the feet of those who would soon desert him. It is a song of radical hospitality, a liturgical embrace that defies the cold indifference of the city streets, murmuring just beyond the heavy bronze doors of the narthex. We sing of being the light for one another, not a blinding glare of judgment, but the soft, flickering glow of a votive candle that guides a stumbling footstep through the thicket of a Tuesday's despair or a Wednesday's loneliness. The 7 p.m. choir understands the exhaustion of the labor and the quiet desperation of the seeker, for they too have navigated the complexities of the passing week and bring their fatigue as an offering to the altar. Their harmony is an architecture of mercy, built note by note upon the foundation of McGargel's vision, where the servant is the master of love and the master is the servant of all. Each word of the lyrics is a seed planted in the fertile dark of the Sabbath evening, watered by the tears of the penitent and warmed by the communal fire of the Eucharist. We are weaving our lives into the mysteries of the Rosary, finding our own trials in the Garden of Gethsemane and our own small triumphs in the light of the resurrection, all while the clock ticks toward the midnight that marks the end of our rest. Let the melody be a balm for the spirit that has forgotten how to weep, a gentle rain that softens the parched earth of a heart hardened by the cynicism of the age, as the final verses of the servant's song rise to meet the shadows of the choir loft. There is a sense of a circle closing, a holy enclosure, where the Marian devotion of the Rosary meets the active ministry of the disciple. We are being sent forth, not as individuals isolated in our own concerns, but as a body knitted together by the recurring themes of grace and the shared breath of this late-night liturgy. The incense has faded, the candles are trimmed to their wicks, and the silence returns to the stone walls, but the song remains an indelible mark upon the soul that whispers of the beauty found in serving, the strength found in kneeling, and the peace found in the shadow of the Mother of Sorrows. Beneath the gaze of the stained glass saints, the choir descends the narrow stairs, the sheet music tucked away like hidden treasures, while the last echoes of the Sunday hymn vibrate in the cooling air of the cathedral. This is the hour of transition, where the sacred and the mundane collide, and the servant's promise must be lived out in the marketplace and the home The rosary's rhythm stays in the pulse, a drumbeat of Av that sustains the spirit. When the music stops and the lights are finally dimmed, we walk out into the cool night air, transformed by the gravity of the 7 p.m. prayer, carrying the quiet majesty of the Catholic hymn into the dark. The amber light retreats through the high arched windows of the nave, surrendering its heat to the cooling stone of the sanctuary. As the clock strikes the 7th hour of this fading Sunday, we stand in the transept, 4 distinct threads of breath drawn from the same well of silence, while the piano awakens with a sequence of falling fifths that mimic the descent of the sun below the horizon. The wood of the pews hums with a century of whispered petitions, and now our voices, the high clarion of the first sopranos and the resonant velvet of the second altos, begin to layer the ancient Latin like a shroud of silk over the day's unrest. Grant us peace, we sing, but the words are not a command, they are a suspension, a circular motion of sound that refuses to find a resolution until every shadow has been named and welcome. Dona nobis pacem. The first voice rises alone, a solitary bird crossing the darkening sky, thin and silvered by the moonlight that hasn't yet arrived. Then the second voice catches the tail of the phrase, a fraction of a heartbeat behind, creating a friction of light where the melody overlaps with itself in a celestial architecture of longing. The piano provides the landscape, a steady ripple of arpeggios that suggests the flow of a river toward an unseen ocean, holding the SSA voices in a cradle of ivory and felt. We are the Sunday evening choir, the keepers of the threshold between the sanctity of the Sabbath and the mechanical grind of the coming morning. And our harmony is the only wall we can build against the intrusion of the world's clamor. The canon thickens now, a dense forest of vowels where the O of Dona becomes a hollow vessel for our collective exhaustion, and the A of Pacem stretches into a horizon of hope. The second sopranos find the middle ground of resonance that connects the crystalline heights to the grounded depths of the altos, who sing with the earth in their throats, a heavy and holy vibration that anchors the polyphony to the floorboards. There is no lead here, only a following. We are echoes of echoes, a recursive loop of mercy that spirals upward toward the vaulted ceiling. The piano's left hand begins to toll like a distant bell, slow and inevitable, while the right hand flickers in the high registers, a spray of sparks against the velvet dark of the chancel. We sing for the city outside these walls, for the cars rushing toward Monday, for the flickering neon of the streetlights and the cold concrete of the avenues. Our breath is a singular organ of air, divided into 4 streams of intent, chasing one another through the bars of the score, until the distinction between give and peace dissolves into a singular, vibrating state of being. The 7 p.m. air is thick with the scent of extinguished candles and old hymnals, a fragrance of history that lends weight to our modern tongues. As the cannon reaches its zenith, the voices intertwine in a dissonant suspension, a moment of exquisite tension where the heart holds its beat before resolving into a pure, unadorned unison that rings through the empty pews like a strike of lightning, softened by rain. As the final repetition begins to fade, the voices drop away one by one, retracing the path of the sun's departure. The first sopranos vanish into the rafters, leaving the second sopranos to carry the torch for a few more measures, until they too yield to the altos. Finally, a single voice remains, a low and steady pulse of pacing that seems to come from the stones themselves, supported by a final, sustaining chord on the piano that refuses to let go. The pedal stays depressed, allowing the harmonics to bleed into the silence of the church, a shimmering ghost of sound that lingers long after our mouths have closed. In this 7 p.m. stillness, the prayer is no longer a song, but a physical presence, a resting place for the weary, a circular grace that knows no beginning and fears no end. The Sunday light is gone, but the peace remains, held in the resonance of the wood, the strings and the fourfold breath of our unified spirit. Within the amber glow of the sanctuary's waning candle, there resides a silence so profound, it becomes a melody, a resonant frequency of the soul that mirrors the stretching of hours into an eternity of devotion. The air itself is thick with the scent of chrism and the ancient dust of cathedrals, where the stone remembers the vibration of 1,000 years of Kyrie and the soft, sibilant breath of the faithful. Here, time does not flee. It pools like water in a marble font, cool and undisturbed, inviting the weary to submerge their grievances in the rhythmic tide of the Salve Regina. The bells have long since ceased their iron clamor, leaving only the silver resonance of the heart's internal chime, a persistent pulse that beats in time with the mysteries of the rose. 2 hours of breath, 2 hours of the spirit's slow exhalation, weaving a tapestry of sound that transcends the mere physics of the ear. It is a pilgrimage of the inner ear, tracing the delicate architecture of a Gregorian line that rises like incense